Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I say this whenever it's necessary to be said, and that is the truth would be allowed to be told to us by some in a foreseeable future. That is, whenever they decide is the right time to allow us to hear what happened. That is when the good guys are doing something that is kind of hanky-panky. So I use the same statement when I was referring, for instance, to the war in Ukraine, where I said there is a lot of things that occur over there on both sides, and we're not allowed yet to know those. And I said there will be someone in the future, some specific ones, will be green-lighted to publish their, I think, already written books about the war in Ukraine, and they are allowed to say a certain narrative still, but with more information that we were allowed to know now. It's always been like always. It's been like this since I know, and it's going to be like this. Why? Well, we have to be protected by our mommy and daddy because we can't stand the truth. We can't face it. We're too pussified, according to them. So we have here an article coming from Associated Press, and this ex-Italian prime minister will give us a piece of information according to his assessment. It's an assessment saying that a French missile downed in 1980 by accident an airliner, Italian airliner, where these guys actually, the French and the Americans, targeted Gaddafi. So actually, Gaddafi was supposed to fly back from Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, in 1980, and fly with some kind of jet from Yugoslavia to I don't know where, and board this kind of plane. In the same time, when he was supposed to go back home, or at least in that direction, the French and the Americans were conducting an air exercise somewhere in the area, reportedly, by this former prime minister, that the target was Gaddafi. And the French destroyed this civilian airliner, which this took two contradictory terms here. Once they call it a civilian airliner, and then it says military passenger jet. So we're gonna read this little article coming from, where is it? Right here, from Associated Press. It is from yesterday, which is September 2nd, 2023. Italian ex-premier says French missile downed an airliner in 1980 by accident in the bid to kill Gaddafi. Now, who's a terrorist here? And they talk about Prigozhin and the Russians. My friends, many times, I don't know the proportion, the bigger perpetrators point to other perpetrators, or possible, just, hey, you do this. It's just unbelievable, no? No, it's not, because that's a regular thing in the world. You have big criminals pointing their fingers to others. Hey, you're a criminal, but you have, I don't know, two atomic bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But hey, the war was shortened and the boys were saved. Can you use the same logic for Putin? Of course not. And then you have this mirroring, projection, where you just project your little things towards others and interpret everybody through your little lenses. So a former Italian premier, in an interview published on Sunday, I'm not supporting any of these kind of actions. I'm just bringing it to you to show that these angels are not angels whatsoever. And they also did what other bad people did, but we didn't do it. It was an accident, never happened. And the media will cover. That's the big problem. The media will cover. And after years, a guy who's 1,000 years old, like this premier, I'm assuming, he comes out and says, I have nothing to lose. You can't hit me anymore. I will say what I know and what I think I know. When I say I think I know, it's because he brings information on, and he brings a conclusion. He says, I have no evidence. This is just a gut feeling. So let me read you this article. Rome, a former Italian premier, in an interview published, who's this? If I have a name here. Italian Interior Minister Giuliano Amato looks at the next and he says, cabinet meeting in Rome, So this is it's a premiere. In an interview published on Saturday, contended that a French Air Force missile accidentally brought down a passenger jet. They wanted to down a jet, but the wrong one here, over the Mediterranean Sea in 1980 in a failed bid to assassinate Libya's then leader Muammar Gaddafi. Former two-times Premier Giuliano Amato appealed to French President Emmanuel Macron to either refute or confirm his assertion about the cause of the crash on June 27, 1980, which killed all 81 persons aboard the Italian domestic flight. So he is aboard an Italian domestic flight. He says, hey, France, did you do it? And what do you think Macron is going to say? He's going to say, no. No, we didn't do it. In an interview with Rome daily La Repubblica, Amato said he is convinced. Well, to be convinced doesn't mean that that's evidence over there. I'm convinced that this and that, but I have to still prove it. That France hit the plane while targeting a Libyan military jet. Is convinced that France hit the plane, the liner, while targeting a Libyan military jet, where Gaddafi was supposed to be in. So, while acknowledging he has no hard proof, Amato also contended that Italy tipped off Gaddafi. And so the Libyan, who was heading back to Tripoli from meeting in Yugoslavia, didn't board the Libyan military jet. So these guys, the smart people with smart bombs, this is another problem. You give a baboon, you give a bicycle, it's going to look at it and say, try to eat it. The same here. You got stupid people in charge of smart bombs, or they say, oh, you got smart bombs. Yeah, controlled by stupid people. And you're going to hit the Chinese embassy in Yugoslavia. Remember 1999? While acknowledging he has no hard proof. All right. What caused the crash is one of modern Italy's most enduring mysteries. Some say a bomb exploded aboard the Itavia jetliner on a flight from Bologna to Sicily, while others say examination of the wreckage pulled up from the seafloor years later indicate it was hit by a missile. The same with the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines. They're not going to tell you who did it. We all know, but they're not going to tell you. Radar traces indicated a flurry of aircraft activity in that part of the skies when the plane went down. There were people playing, And I'm quoting, the most credible version is that of responsibility of the French Air Force in complicity with the Americans and who participated in a war in the skies that evening of June 27th. End quote. Amato was quoted as saying, NATO planned to, and I'm quoting, simulate an exercise with many planes in action during which a missile was supposed to be fired with Gaddafi as the target, Amato said. In the aftermath of the crash, French, US and NATO officials denied any military activities in the sky that night. According to Amato, the missile was allegedly fired by a French fighter jet that had taken off from an aircraft carrier, possibly off Corsica's southern coast. Macron 45 was a toddler when the Italian passenger jet went down in the near area, the tiny Italian island of Ustica. And I'm quoting, I ask myself why a young president like Macron, while age-wise extraneous to the Ustica tragedy, would want to remove the shame that weighs on France. End quote. Amato told La Repubblica, and I'm quoting, and he can remove it in only 2 days. Only 2 ways. Either demonstrating that the thesis is unfounded, or once thesis foundation is verified by offering the deepest apologies to Italy and to the families of the victims in the name of his government. So this is the wreckage right here. Okay. Amato, who is 85, nothing to lose, can suck my thing, said that in 2000, when he was a premier, he wrote to then presidents of the United States and France, Bill Clinton and Jacques Chirac, respectively, to press them to shed light on what happened. But ultimately, those entreaties yield total silence, Amato said. When queried by the Associated Press, Macron's office said Saturday it wouldn't immediately comment on Amato's remarks. So now they call the guy and say, what the man? I tried to like that. Italian Premier Giorgia Meloni, bad, called on Amato to say if he has concrete elements. She's a sold out. She's on the payroll of those guys. Your Meloni, she's out. She's been out in the first 2 months. When she became Prime Minister of Italy, I was waiting. Is that the White Hope, the next White Hope, Great White Hope, or not? She proved not. Immediately, the Foreign Minister of Italy called the first phone call, or she did. One of these weasels, doesn't really matter. Called Zelensky. I mean, in the first contact. What? But anyway, that's their, how to call it, if they want to have that as their priority, good for them. And I'm quoting here, Amato's words merit attention, end quote, Meloni said in a statement issued by her office. She's not going to say it's bullshit, because you have a lot of people that are going to say, what do you mean, Italian died? So that's why she's, while noting that the former premier had specified that his assertions are fruit of personal deductions. So yeah, but don't take him seriously. Assertions of French involvement aren't new. In a 2008 television interview, former Italian President Francesco Cossiga, who was serving as prime minister when the crash occurred, blamed it on French missile, whose target has been a Libyan military jet, and said he learned that Italy's Secret Service military branch had tipped off Gaddafi. Gaddafi was killed in Libya civil war 2011. It's a euphemism. Yeah, he was killed in the civil war. By whom and with whom help? And anyway, a few weeks after the crash, the wreckage of a Libyan MiG with the badly decomposed body of its pilot was discovered in the remote mountains of southern Calabria. All right, my friends. So, who's the terrorist? I'm not demonstrating anything here. I'm just raising questions. And they're not going to come and say, yeah, man, we did it. And if they want to be caught with their pants down in the woods where you put a flashlight on and taking a shit over there, they're going to say, well, it's not me, actually. Or, you know what? I had to do it because of you. So they're going to blame you or someone else and say, well, we had to do it. We had to drop 2 atomic bombs to save our boys, shorten the war, and we have to kill about 200,000 civilians, okay? And everybody's like, oh. All right? So you can bring justifications for your crimes whenever. The problem is, who backs you up on that one? The media backs you, the intelligentsia backs you, the weasels back you. I mean, a rape is a rape. An atomic bomb dropped on a civilian population or 2 cities or 1 city is a war crime. There's no way around it. All right? Now, what can you do about it? Or maybe now, because you can't change anything from the past, you can keep your mouth shut a little bit. When you talk about others, bringing scenarios. They are about to use the nuclear. Well, you have nuclear. You want to have nuclear weapons. You have to. You can't have. Oh, you can't. Oh, you can't. You're talking about that? I think a little bit of humility. I'm against humility, but I'm against if you have abilities. So if you're a world champion in something, I want you to say it how many times you want and how good you are and fantastic, because you are. It's a point beyond you become, oh my God, shut the fuck up. It's true what you say. It's true. But bragging, you can't say, no, I'm going to say it about, if I say it in a year about 100 times, and then next year I say it 50 times, and then next year I say it 20 times, so it dies out, I think that's not bragging. But to expect the world champion to be to show humility, why? No, you're bad, I beat your ass, I'm stronger than you, go and train. And next time you beat me, and you're going to tell me, fucker, see? That's how you create competition. It's not healthy competition. I mean, well, why don't you meet me and see who's winning? And then let me be myself, you be your thing, and then you immediately, I lost, therefore you can't tell me I lost. I tell you, you lost how many times they want. But anyway, let's go back to these guys. These guys want to assassinate Gaddafi, according to the former prime minister. Okay, so and eventually it took them 80, 90, 2000, 2010, right? 31 years it took them to get that. Why? Because Gaddafi gave them everything. That's a mistake that people should not do. Don't let your fate in the hands of anybody. Don't say, you know what, do whatever you want to do with me. I know you will be just and dispense justice. Don't do that. We have a lot of evidence for that. When some people thought, hey, I'm going to be treated as a marshal, and then hanged or the capsule. You remember? So don't do that. Even if you're a criminal, don't expect your enemy that is sometimes I would say most of the time pushed by other interests not to intervene and destroy, make a farce of justice. And I think you know exactly what I'm referring to. So in this case, Gaddafi said, well, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have nuclear weapons. I want to be just left alone. Yeah. You can't fly. You have a no-flight zone over your territory, NATO said. You can't do this. We're just going to bring democracy. And then what happened to him? The same with Saddam Hussein. Allow them to check his ass for his nuclear weapons and weapons of mass destruction, and let them check his palaces, even his palaces. And what happened then? You know. So I hope that people understand this, and as a general rule, don't allow yourself to at the mercy of anybody. Just do it the other way. And I want you to be at my mercy then. You're going to see how they react, because then you know exactly what they want to do to you. That's why the Russians right now and Putin and these guys know that the Western justice and all that works in a certain way because of the interest behind all that. So they're not going to just come, hey, you know what, arrest me, I'm coming in front. Like Milosevic, from what I heard, he was rounded up and then sent to The Hague. I don't think he came by his own accord over there. But anyway, don't let others judge and or trial your leaders. That's none of their business. When they will allow their leaders to be tried by you, then you allow yours. And why would you want to do that? Both ways. No, because they want something, but they don't allow you the same right. Don't give you the same right. So here it is. I don't know if that's true, but there's no smoke without fire. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.